Welcome, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the journey of a man with your host, Dre Jordan. I have a really special guest with me today. The Journey of a Man podcast was created for men to talk about our journey in life, which ultimately determines who we are or will become. The obstacles we face are real and often will derail us from our desired destinations. This podcast gives us a platform to express ourselves about the journey we have experienced, our upbringing, relationship, marriages, fatherhood, careers, finances, spirituality, divorce, co-parenting, and hopefully bridging our support for one another while respecting and uplifting other men and women. The trajectory for men must change, and together we can create a pathway to success. I would like to welcome Bishop John S. Battle, actually known as Bishop Battle, John, JB, Tony, Cricket, Pickle, Dad, Granddad, Uncle, and friend. Bishop Battle grew up in Washington, Northeast DC, and attended McKinley Technical Senior High School. Played college basketball at Rutgers University, graduated in 1985, and was drafted by the Atlanta Hawks in the fourth round. He had a great NBA career for 10 years with the Atlanta Hawks and the Cleveland Cavaliers, retiring in 1995. He met his beautiful wife, R&B singer, recording artist Regina Belle in college, married her in 1991, and together they had 5 children. John came from humble beginnings and did not let fame change him. Born to Marjorie Jackson and John S. Battle Jr., John had a big family of 9 siblings. John is an ordained bishop and now leads 3 congregations: Bread of Life, Spread the Word Ministries, and New Shield of Faith in Atlanta, Georgia. John, sit back and enjoy this presentation.
no scoring in the second quarter. We played a minute and a half at the Palace, still tied at 26. Battle from the dotted line. Gets it down. DJ and Spider got all over him. Atlanta now with 4 turnovers. Isaiah missed the rainbow to Moses. Battle to forecourt, contact with the pick. And Battle buries it. Battle and Moncrief, contact Moses and Dwayne Farrell for Atlanta. Battle gets by Vinny. Hits the glasser over Sally. And Atlanta leads it by 5.
John Battle, very difficult matchup for Vinny Johnson. That time he got by Vinny, and John Sally got there late to give help.
That switch doesn't work well. 36-32, the Pistons within 4. 6:35 left in the half. Playoff intensity, the subject of harder on hoops at the half. Battle turns, guns from the top, and it drops. Battle's picking on the Pistons again, just like he did late in the 5th and final game of the regular season when he had 23 in the 4th. He's 4 out of 4 so far tonight. Moncrief and Battle. Contact, Farrell and Dominique for Atlanta. Battle in the lane. The glasser's good. Battle is 5 out of 5. Back to the action. The score's tied at 93. Playoff excitement at the Palace. Vinny Johnson took his tied it, but Battle untied it. 95-93 Atlanta.
Nice drive
2 minutes to go.
Nice drive by John Battle that time. Hit a tough baseline shot.
John.
Okay.
I want to thank you, brother. Thank you again for joining me, man. I had to put my ears on this time just to hear you a little better. I want to thank you, man, first of all, for taking the time out, man, to sit with me, because this is an important journey for me as I look out, John, and see our young men, man, they're being lost. They don't really have people to help them navigate like we had back in the day, to help us navigate through life. So I just want to thank you, man, for taking the time. And before I get started on you, just let me say this about you. You've always been my big brother. You've always been humble, open heart, just a good dude all around. You was a freak of nature playing ball for sure. We always knew you was destined for greatness for sure. I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but when you were playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers, Curtis and myself called you. We were at the hotel downtown, and we said, JB, come and get us. You came down there and got us, man, and took us back to your house, and you showed us a great time all night, even though we had a basketball game the next day. Actually, we had 3 basketball games the next day. We were tired, but we enjoyed ourselves, with you that day. That's just a connection you always will have with us, man. So I appreciate you, brother, coming on today and just sharing this time with me, because I know you got a journey, man, that you want to share. And the objective is for hopefully our younger generation, man, can see that God never give up on us, regardless of what we go through. So if you don't mind, John, just take me, man, back to when you was growing up, man, and up on Northeast off of Rhode Island Avenue.
Oh, great. Most of your listeners, oh my goodness, my battery's low. Most of your listeners are from DC, am I right?
Most of them, yes.
Yeah, most of your listeners. It's up in that room. So they were real. A lot of things they probably won't know, Dre, and probably you won't know. You will know the journey, but some of the integral parts of the journey is what I want to share with you.
Mm-hmm.
And to help the young folk, because some journeys are easier than others.
Mm-hmm.
And then they say some journeys are hard, but yet again, some journeys are impossible. And I think I lived right around that impossible area.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up in DC, I actually started to, when I first realized where I was at, I lived on Florida Avenue,
Mm-hmm.
right around P Street on Florida Avenue. And then before I came to Rhode Island Avenue, when I was young, then my mother moved over there. And we were there for about 40 years. But growing up in DC, man, was, as you know, very, very difficult during times. I don't know how. I escaped some of the things that, the city had. I don't know how Dre escaped some of the things that the city had. I am no different from anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I had alcoholics in my family. I had drug abusers in my family. For some reason, God allowed me not to succumb to the elements that was available in our neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you couldn't escape that. You could not escape it. You just had to deal with it. And I know there's a lot of elements for young folk to deal with. They may be different from mine and yours, but they still the same. They are still the issues. They are still the problems. They are still how through those difficult times and those challenging times.
Mm-hmm.
Do I start to sell drugs? Or do I, get into a game? Or do I bury myself in sports? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I was, as you said, I was raised up right across from my house in a Baptist church called Pleasant Grove Baptist Church, where my mom was a lifelong member there. I wasn't big taken to church by my mama. So I thought that's what we saw. Now at 10th grade, I started to, just like anybody else, move away from the church. I started to play sports.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what? Then sports would take me away from every Sunday going there. Because, so around 9 or 10, that's when I left the church. Because every day back then, Dre, pardon my camera, back then, we just didn't have one sport. I don't know how they do it, but we played whatever was to be played, whatever the season was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In other words, we played baseball, basketball, football, whatever we could play. If we had a golf course around there, we'd have been golfers, whatever. If we was into that, but we did not take time off from anything. We played everything, and whatever you were the best at, that's what you concentrated on. So right around that time, Dre, I just started to get into sports. And as you know, my number one sport was not basketball.
Mm-hmm.
My number one sport was football.
Mm-hmm.
Playing with Lyles and Simeon and all those guys in number 12, and playing football and being a running back was my thing. I played basketball as a secondary sport.
Mm-hmm.
But football was my first love.
Mm-hmm.
So, after burying myself, and it was hard, man, because, my mom and them, we didn't have big jobs and big stuff, but we managed to make it.
Mm-hmm.
through small type of things. Did I have drug dealers in my family? Sure I did. Cousins and nephews and stuff. Did I have all those other things? Yes, I told you about those. But for some reason, it was the people in the neighborhood that saw the potential in what I was doing, so they wouldn't allow me to indulge. They wouldn't allow me. Some of them would say, you don't hang around us, or you don't hang around here after a certain time. After a certain time, Dre, down the park, they used to put me out. Because, okay, the ball time is over. It's time for some bad stuff. And you have the potential of making it out. So we don't want you here. Go ahead home.
Right. You know what, John? I mentioned that to my dad. I previously interviewed my dad. And I was telling him how, because so many people in the neighborhood protected us, right, from elements, because they knew that we were all into sports. And they would tell us exactly what you would tell them. Just mention, that's what they would say. Get on away from here. It's that time for us to get busy now. You go on in the house or go on somewhere else. And because I oftentimes try to figure out how I escaped it. And that was the reason, because our friends kept us away from it. People who really cared about us kept us away from it.
Yes. And you know what? They still my friends today.
Absolutely.
I don't care who they call me. I don't care. Out of my probably 1,000 members, I don't care if you come here, Dre, oh, pastor, oh, bishop, oh, this, oh, that. But you would look at me and say, Tony, that's Tony, or, that's Jacob.
Right.
But they would have their way of looking at me. But I know if my friends are around me and my family around me, then they call me something different, but they know who I am from back then.
Right.
They respect who I am from right now, because I have some dudes from the hood that are members of my church from afar and from here, like Ron Brown. Yeah, he's a member of my church. His family are members of my church, even from DC. Right. They're members of my church, and they get all about stuff. So, but most time when, if he's in a church setting, he will say pastor. Right. If we're not in a church, he would call me whatever the nickname is.
Absolutely. I was talking to your brother Pee Wee, and I said, Pee Wee, what you call JB now? He said, shoot. I still call him the same thing. Right? I said, okay, just want to make sure we on. But yeah, absolutely, because I take my hat off to you, brother, because Bishop, really, I did that, man. I wanted to come down there for that. But I'm telling you, man, we look at you with such pride here in DC because you have represented us well, brother. We live vicariously through you when you were in the NBA. For all of us who didn't make it, who had dreams and aspirations as well, we lived through you, and that's one thing about you. You never change. You never let fame or fortune change you. The same old JB. Just when I posted that on the advertisement on Facebook, you remember Go Ahead?
Oh yeah. I was talking to Go about a month ago.
Yeah, Go say, oh yeah, that's the same battle we all know. Yeah.
Man, don't you know, Dre, how many techites came up to the my induction as a bishop? How many guys was here? Driggers, Michael Wayne, Jeff. A lot of techites came up to be with me on that day.
I was supposed to come, man. Unfortunately, I had the trip planned, but I wanted to be there as well, man, because that I just like I said, we're so proud of you, brother. We're so proud of you, what you do, man. And especially now in your journey, because it's all about our journey, that really dictates who we are, man.
What a hard journey, though, Dre. It was very, very difficult, but I think we were bred for the difficult. I don't think we were bred for the easy. We flourish, and techites and people in my neighborhood, we flourish, and we do stuff that only people find that is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So my trip, look, I'm coming from Tech, man, inner city school. It had a great curriculum and a great academic background. But I was hanging around with y'all. I ain't take it as seriously as I should have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My studies.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then I wound up in on almost an Ivy League school.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? But here's the thing. Taking what I did not do from Tech, which I should have done, but I almost failed out of school.
Mm-hmm.
Not because the drive and the effort wasn't there, is because I just could not do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Because the work was on a different level than what we were taught on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but I stayed at school, Dre, if you're talking about to the young men, I stayed at school because I did not want to fail
Mm-hmm.
and come home and have to face you all.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There was somebody who had to go out, and even if I didn't make it in ball, you see what I'm saying? I come out with a degree,
Mm-hmm.
Especially in my family. I was the first one to ever go to college,
Mm-hmm.
and the first one to ever even thought about graduating from college. So that has to be set. And that's why I say it was difficult, because if I would have just chosen, and I ain't saying that it's a different academic school, but it's not on the level of Rutgers, because most people say, well, just go to UDC. And I say, everybody's going to UDC.
Mm-hmm.
Since I got this scholarship, can I try something different? They said, you ain't gonna make it there, it's too hard.
Wow.
Yeah, Dre, I had to face that before signing.
Mm-hmm.
I had to face, do I take UDC, where everybody know, although they were Division I champion or Division II champions, everybody's saying, go there, you can be recognized. But I said, but academically, I can be challenged.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they said that work is much too hard. And they were right. But we thrive, as I said, we thrive in the difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever Tech Eyes, you, me, whatever we're going to do, we're going to take the difficult road because we know we can handle it. We're not scared of it. And I know you're going to do great things because that's who you are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect nothing less.
Mm-hmm.
So when you call and say, I got this going on, that going on, that going on, that's just us.
Right.
That's how we operate. That's how we. So going to Rutgers, having, for one thing, getting there was very difficult because, the first year or the first two, I only played 1 year of varsity basketball.
Mm-hmm.
How can I make the team, Dre? I had to try out, but how can I make the team when they already had 3 All-Americans in high school? Check it out. They had Jan Pennell, who played with Oklahoma at the 2 guard. That was my spot.
Mm-hmm.
You remember Jan Pennell? You remember Gene Smith?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Jan Pennell went to Oklahoma and played with Wayman Tisdale. Gene Smith went to Georgetown, won a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
William Martin, Doom, went to Georgetown, won a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
These was the guys that I wasn't even on the team, but I'm trying to get on the team and be somebody with these guys. Remember, we always take the difficult road.
Absolutely.
And at that particular time, the only way to get on the team is to make it in a tryout where they really wasn't even looking for no players.
Mm-hmm.
But because the inner high you had to have tryouts. It was an inner high rule that you just couldn't pick a team, but you had to have tryouts. And somehow I made the team out of all the players that tried out.
Yeah, man. Do you and I know there was a special person in your life that helped you navigate that water from McKinley. just kind of stayed at you, what came to pick you up and all that old stuff.
Oh yeah.
You want to mention him and
Mhm.
how much of an asset he was to you, helping you navigate?
Well, yeah. Coach Lafayette Mosley, when I made the team, he took me on, and let me tell you something. I always got, when we were playing, always got ridiculed and laughed at, but not in a bad way. But that's the way we joked.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to call Mo my father. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Dre, I'm happy today. No, he's not my biological father, but I'm happy to say today, in my old age, yes, he acted like a father.
Mm-hmm.
And I will call him if need be, because he's still with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from the days when I was 16,
Right.
and we were 16, and now I'm 58, and he's still under my care. He's still with me. I wouldn't let nobody take him and handle him because of what he did for me in my life.
Isn't that something?
Yes. Yeah. So I gave back to him, made sure he had everything he needed in life. Wow. And he's had a great life, and he's still coaching.
Right. Wow. He is.
Yes, in Atlanta. He's still coaching. Almost 75 years old.
Wow. Yeah. I remember when I played there, man. Yeah, he pushed you to the limit for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can't step on that court unless you was given 1,000%, not 100, 1,000%. And if you wasn't given 1,000, you'd be sitting next to him.
Dre, don't you know how badly I messed up? And this will probably give somebody hope. Don't you know how badly I messed up in school in our 10th grade year? When we left, did you go to TAF?
TAF, yep.
Yeah. When we left TAF and we went to McKinley, I kind of like started to work. I started doing some construction stuff in the afternoon. I was going to quit school because I was making some money, to help out my family. And I just didn't see where it was going to end up, because most people end up going to government, get a job in the government and do this or that. So I said, well, I'll just do construction work, which is paying me okay. So when I did that, and then actually, watch this. It was Kevin Cunningham and all of them. They had to convince me to go out for the team. I was going home out of school. I said, we ain't gonna make that team, man. Their squad is set. And then they said, well, you're a Park All-American. Won't you just try out? So, and let's just go play some ball. That's what it was. Let's just go play some ball. So we decided to go play some ball. I end up making the team.
Wow.
I would not, if they did not convince me to just go try out with them, I said no. They say yes. We went because the boys are arguing, and they'll call your names if you didn't do it. I made the team. The thing after that, but that was when I was about to quit. And my grades would not allow me to stay on the team, so we had to work on that. I didn't have enough grades. I had to sit out my 11th grade year, and I played JV. Because of my grades, I didn't have any because I didn't go to school to 10th grade. And these are things I don't know if you ever knew it. And let me tell you how great Mo is. And God bless her soul. Remember our former principal, Miss Brown.
Right.
So after my 10th grade year, and after Mo convinced me to play after I made the team, but I had to go to JV because of my grades. He convinced me to play, and then I played half the year my junior year, and then a full year my senior year. And played so well in my senior year, I got one scholarship. But I didn't have enough grade to go to Rutgers because I only had a 1.2 2 average.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to go to college, you needed a 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't. I went to night school at Roosevelt. I practiced, I played games, and then I worked.
Mm-hmm.
Had no time for me, had no time to sleep almost. I used to sleep in the car, in Mo's car, and then get up and go to school.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely went home because I was asleep in the car. I had all my clothes in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Come senior year, nobody knows my name. I'm not on the All-American list. I'm not on this list. I'm not on that list. I become, all in a high player and get 1 scholarship. But I only still had a 1.2 average.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, we can't take him because he only got a 1.2 average. Mo tells the coach at Rutgers, now his name was Tom Young, he said, John will have a 2.0. And he said, and back then they didn't care, they just wanted players. They said, well, if he has a 2.0, we can't take, if it's on his transcript. So we went into Miss Brown's office, the principal office. And Mo told her, look, I got a chance to send this one to sign a letter to Rutgers University. She went and changed all my 10th grade courses. So I can have a 2.1 and go to school.
Wow.
Yeah, and that would get somebody put in jail. That would put, because people are like, you went and changed this. But back then there was no computer. And then she says the reason she did it was my senior year, I was, really good in school.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, your 10th grade year was not indicative of the work that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So she changed them, and she said she was tired of Black folk not getting the opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She changed them, and that's how I got to school. I did not have the grades.
Right. Well, look at God.
Look at God, yeah, because I graduated from Rutgers with 2 major degrees and 1 certificate in criminal justice, 1 in labor studies, 1 in Black history studies.
Wow.
And then I graduated from Beulah Heights University with a master's in biblical studies. And then I graduated and all these are 4-year schools, ITC with a master's in divinity. And then I got my doctoral 4-year school from Dayton, Ohio, United Theological Seminary in Ohio.
Wow.
Yes, with plans in September to do another PhD in Hebrew and in Aramaic studies.
Wow.
Uh,
And just imagine if it wasn't for that opportunity.
No, that opportunity that Mo and Principal Brown, that's why I said it's important for you to have somebody in your life. That's what you were saying. And these are the people that created an opportunity, man, from a difficult situation. Remember, we rise in the difficult. And those things, people don't know those things. I couldn't tell those things back then.
Right.
But now, I mean, Miss Brown is in heaven.
Right.
And I thank her today, and I don't,
Right.
But I did send her a card, a copy of my transcript, and a big, when I graduated and I went to the NBA, a big bouquet of flowers. And I thanked her so much. And because one of the things she said, don't come back here without a degree. Right. And that's why I sent her a copy of my degree.
Wow. Wow. What a blessing. See how God used people as a vessel for us? I said, see how God used people as a vessel for us?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think that's what a lot of, the young folk today, they don't have nobody.
Right.
They don't have nobody that they're going to trust, and they don't have nobody that they're going to follow and listen to.
Right. So difficult to reach them nowadays, John, and that's why I launched this podcast, because I want them to hear that they're not alone, right?
Right.
That God never gives up on us, man. Only thing you have to do is stick in there, hang in there. He'll use somebody as a vessel, just like he did you. Use somebody, and use a vessel for them. So, absolutely, man. And while you were in college, that's where you met your queen. Because they so important in our lives too, man. They help keep us centered. You know what I'm saying? You want to talk a little bit about your queen?
When I got to school, right, Dre. I mean, she would say this too. When I got to school, Dre, I met my wife, but what school did you say you were going to? You said you went to St. Anthony's for the church, Catholic church. Was it St. Anthony's?
Yep.
Yeah. That's where my girlfriend in college went. She was my wife's roommate. She was from DC. She went to St. Anthony's.
Okay.
So actually, and this is crazy to tell, because I know your viewers going to hear this. I dated my wife's roommate. I did not date my wife in college. We were best friends.
Oh, okay.
Yes, with the whole her whole dorm room roommates, I was their best friend. But I was dating her roommate for 4 years. But when we came out, when we left school, actually, Dre, my wife and I found we had more in common. Because she went and started singing and became who she was. And I was playing ball with the Hawks and became who I was. And our worlds kind of matched. But at the same time, we were comfortable because we were best friends. You see what I'm saying?
That's important.
Yeah, that was important. Yeah. We were best friends for the 10 years before we even talked about get together, you know what I mean? And dating. And we actually, started dating after my college girlfriend. She actually got sick and passed away. She got, even when she was very young, right when we were playing ball. So First Lady and I call her First Lady because she's the First Lady of the church. But we got together and we said, let's join. And that's when we raised a family.
Right. Wow.
So that's how we started. But we started, Dre, when she ain't had no money, I ain't had no money. Both broke, coming from DC, trying to get something done. She was coming from Jersey. She was cooking. I was supplying whatever money I had to get us something to eat. And we were just two broke brothers and sisters in college and best of friends.
Wow.
So when we got into the business, Dre, and I became who I was in basketball, and she became who she was as a singer with #1 hits and all those things. We knew each other. You see what I'm saying? That's how that happened. We already knew each other well enough, and that's why we were comfortable with each other. So you hear, I heard last night, J-Lo and her fiance, the boy she been dating, the baseball player, she's A-Rod. A-Rod. Guess what? They just called it quits. Because it's hard when you get two stars. And we were both at the height of our careers when we got married, man. That's hard. That's two different personalities, two different pride levels.
Egos too.
Egos. There you go. Talk to me. Right. Yeah. Egos and money flowing everywhere. I got money. I make money. You make money. We make money, and this and this and the ego. But we set that aside because we had 10 years. Now, look, we had much problems, just like everybody
else. Yep.
Yeah, we had many problems, and this June will be 30 years of marriage, not just 40 years we've been knowing each other, but this June marks our 30th year.
Wow.
Yeah, with so many problems, and I thank God there are less problems now.
Absolutely.
Because we've been married so long, we know each other better than anybody.
And the hedge of protection is around you now.
Yeah. And our focus is different. The church is when we get to talk about how the transition came from what we were doing to the church is very difficult. But we made it through that too. So that is the part. In fact, she left to become who she was and had to leave some credits behind. I graduated, but just as the last probably 5 years, she went back and got her degree from Rutgers.
Wow.
And finished that. And she's taking her master's now while she's downtime and she's not doing as much touring. But she's taking the time now to do her master's.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats on that. I don't know if you remember this while we're talking about Regina, right? So it was one time you came home.
You was at the house, wasn't you?
Yeah. I'm great. I'm going to tell you something, right? Hey, John, look. So we were down the park. I think it was Ron Brown came down and said, "Hey, John is up at the house. He got Regina up at the house." We were down there playing. It was only 10 of us down there. And when he said, I said, "What? Regina up there?" I said, "Oh," I left. I ran up there. We greeted as we usually do, right? And you introduced me to Regina, right? And I gave her a hug. And you must have went off talking somewhere. My muscles must have locked around her because when you came back, you was like, "When you gonna let my woman go, boy?" I was like, "Oh man, I'm sorry, I fell asleep." But your wife is one of my favorite R&B, female R&B artists, man. One thing about her, man, is that she had a spirit like you, right? She didn't have that arrogance about her because she was a superstar, right? She didn't have that arrogance about her. That's what I loved. That's my love level went to a different level when I realized that she was a down-to-earth woman, right? Because oftentimes we run into these celebrities, man, they look down, man, like you nothing, like you owe them something. Instead of being humble enough saying, "Hold up, we paying for your records, we paying for you, to come see you play or whatever." But they don't. The arrogance get in the way. But,
it is really tough. And I know a lot of stars, and you're right. But I found it challenging because I could not do that with you all.
Right.
You know what I mean? We go back too far, and you all will see right through that.
And call you out.
Yeah, Negro, you from Taft.
Yeah.
Come on, boy, you from Montana, you from Rhode Island, you from Brentwood.
Right. Stop playing. Stop
playing, man. Don't be coming here talking different, talking about what I got. We know what you got. And that's because of who you are, not because of where you come from, Doc. You know what I mean?
Right.
So don't change. I can't do that, man.
Right. Hey, John, we used to come home, and I remember one time. So you came home one time, and you said, "I'm going to go down to the Urban Coalition. I'm going to play." And you said, "Man, I'm going to drop them about 40, and then we're going to go get some." Right? So we all went down there. Hey, JB, you dropped 60 by half, right? And you went to put on your clothes, and you said, "Y'all ready?" Boy, we laughed. The whole crowd just was laughing because that's the different level of game you had, man. I mean, the Urban Coalition, they had great players down there, but you dropped 60 real quick, and you said, y'all ready to go get something to eat?
It was over, man.
It's over. I was like, this boy here, good gracious of morning. Nah, man, but
let me give a shout out. You know who I miss? We lost Kevin Scarborough.
Right, man.
And yeah, I miss him. I wanted to make sure I say that.
Yeah.
So that if his family or anybody get to hear this, one of my favorite people, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Good
me
guy.
and Wino, just like everybody else, me and Wino was good. We were good.
Yeah.
He was always down to earth with me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He loved you. He always spoke about you well as well. Like everybody else, man. And in the DMV for sure. And you lost your mom 10 years ago. And the thing of it is, JB, that I know losing a parent is hard, right?
Oh yeah.
And I oftentimes think about it, and when I even think about it, bro, it just it get at me. But I know we all have to pass that portal, right?
Yeah.
We're never prepared for it, but we all know we have to pass through that portal. How did that affect you, man?
Oh man, please. That was everything to me.
Right.
My mama was my best cheerleader who never go to the games. This is why she was my best cheerleader, Dre. She never seen me play till my last game in college.
Wow.
Never seen me play. She cared about the inner person. She had so many things at the church to do. And she didn't even know what sports was as far as, and she would listen to me. I could sit there and talk about how many points I had, and she would smile and say, really? Yes. Well, that's good. Never seen a basketball game in her life.
Right.
And she would talk as if she was at the game.
Right.
And even when I got the scholarship, she never came up there in 4 years. She always was happy, and I talked to her every day. And until my college graduation, my college last family game, she got to see me play.
Right.
And then she saw a lot of NBA games because they was on TV. And, I could afford to fly her places now, and stuff like that. But man, when you lose somebody like that, Dre, man, I think I probably, and I talk about it, the church knows her well because I talk about my mom a lot. I talk about my dad sometimes too, but my mom has the biggest impact in my life.
Right.
And let me tell you something, Dre, that lady, she fed everybody in the neighborhood.
Absolutely. I knew your mom. And it was just because Aaron and Pee Wee were tight as they were thick as thieves.
That's right.
And I always had to come up and get him or whatever. But everybody knew your mom, man. Her heart was just so pure, regardless of what the situation was. The door was always open.
Yeah.
Always open.
How is Aaron?
Man, Aaron is doing good. Aaron is doing good.
I haven't seen him, Dre, even 10 years or even longer since I've seen you. I just haven't had a chance to lay my eye on him.
Yeah. Look, Aaron's out there playing golf. So let me just put this before you. I think Aaron to come down and take you in golf. What you think?
He playing golf?
Yeah. Hey, look, JB, I'm still knocking out windows, but my game is getting there.
But you've been playing a little bit?
Just a little bit, man. I go to the range. I'm not Aaron took me out one time, and I got a great tee, right? I started out great, but after that, so man, I'm still learning. I
try to play once a week and practice and stuff. I love it. I love it. It keeps me competitive.
Right.
So, I even tell Delonte Nutt from the hood, I say, look, you don't have to learn to play golf because we too old to do anything else there. We can't run.
Right.
He was talking about playing in the 50 and older year. I said, I have 2 new hips, 2 titanium knees. I can't run. I can't do nothing but stand and preach and play golf.
Right. Let me ask you a question, JB. Now that you know, our younger men need some help. Do you have like a men's ministry that you have?
Oh yeah, Dre, don't you know it? For the last 15 years, we have saved from tragics probably about 400 men from prison to work, mentoring. We've bought homes next to our churches that
Wow.
house 30 men at a time.
Wow.
And oh yeah, and got all of them jobs. And we've been doing that for 15 years.
Wow.
And then they have, and that's over downtown Atlanta, they have mentorship programs that I used to conduct them all myself, but it got a little bit too much for me. So we now have speakers that come in. So we do about probably about 80 or 90 young boys. Because some of them that come out of prison, man, are only 16 to 18 years old.
Right.
And they come out with no guidance.
Right.
No direction, no guidance. They don't even know where their GED is. They don't even know if they graduated high school. They don't have a driver license. They don't have this. They don't have nobody to try and lead them one way or the other way.
Wow.
Man,
so that's great. That's great, John, because I don't know if you've seen my previous interview, bow-legged Curtis Daniels, right?
Curtis Daniels, yeah, that's my boy.
Yeah, so Curtis, man, when I talk to the young men, I use him as an example because where he came from to where he is now is it's amazing, right?
Really?
This guy has actually flipped the streets into a W-2. And he's a respectable man, married man, retired, get ready to retire again. And I mean, with the grandkids now, and this guy, I use his story because his story really tell a lot of the young men that God really don't give up on you. Just hang in there, repent for your sins and stay with him. He'll never leave you or forsake you. So, if you get a chance, man, look at that interview because that thing, just
where's it at? It's online, Dre?
Yeah, it's online. It's on the same on YouTube. So where I'm gonna upload this one, it's on that one as well. But yes, man, our young men need help, man, and you're doing great things down there. I actually like to come down one day next time you have speakers down there to at least speak to some of the young men as well, because that's what I do with young men up here, trying to save lives, man, because we are endangered species right now because they after us. They don't want to see the kingness come out of us for sure.
Well, let's do this, Dre. Can you do your podcast from anywhere?
Yep, I can do it right here.
I'm thinking because I can see how you can, or even if I have to fly you in and you can do your podcast from here and with all the men and the young men here. You see what I'm saying? Or you can do it through Zoom and they can see you.
Absolutely. Zoom will work.
And you can record it, or even if you want to live, whatever way you want it to, and then people can ask questions. All people can get a sense of what you do, and I can sew back into what you're doing and give the audience that you can help me and I can help you.
Absolutely. I'm about to say vice versa, brother, because you got a story, man, and I'm so proud of you, man, and what you're doing, brother. And I love you, and I know that you're going to continue to do great things. Give Regina my best.
I will, man. I will.
And continue success, brother. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. Even, I oftentimes wondered, how did he survive the NBA, doing the NBA and then, surviving his marriage while she's on the road. And I think you put it in a nutshell when you say you guys were friends and you understood each other.
Yes.
And that's a key factor to any relationship. You really have to know each other.
we had the rough times, and then we pushed through those. And now it's 30 years later, and it's almost like a drop in the bucket. We still, we bishop now, and we First Lady. We have responsibility to a whole heap of people's lives, man. And so we don't have time to not, do well with each other.
Right.
Because, all the people in my congregation and many other people depend on us. I also have 2 other churches. And remember, Dre, when I played with the Hawks, but then when I left, I went to the Cavaliers. And I established 2 churches in Cleveland.
Did not know that.
Yes, I established a church now with my good friend, Pastor Perrimore, Bishop Perrimore, who pastored those churches. But we established one in Barberton, which is close to Akron, where LeBron James at. And then we established one. That one has about 600 members. And the one in Youngstown, Ohio, has about 1,000 members. And after we established both of those churches, got the membership up, I came here and established these 2 churches.
Wow.
So yeah, collectively we have 4.
Let me ask you a question. From the NBA, what changed your trajectory? I guess you're saying now while you was in the NBA led you to ministry. What led you to ministry?
I think that thing, remember I said, when I left, I was in the church. I mean, I grew up in the church. My grandmother was a holiness preacher. My grandfather was a Baptist preacher. And I've been to a Baptist church. So I had church in me. When Dre, there was times when I was on the bench later on in my career, somewhere on my 10th year. I didn't want to play no more. I'd rather them not put me in the game because I just didn't feel it anymore. I didn't feel basketball. I wanted to go to church. I wanted to do things in my life. And I had enough of, shooting and people saying you can shoot. I had enough of that. I went to the president and the owner of the team and asked him to release me.
Wow.
Let me go home to do ministry. He was a Christian.
Right.
He said, John, you have 3 years left on your contract. If you tell me to release you, then I'm not obligated to pay you. And back then they were, 7 figures plus. I told him, release me and you can take it.
Right. Wow.
Now, I was nervous because, and everybody else would say, oh, boy, you're crazy. You better just stay and take it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Right.
I couldn't do it, Dre. And I told them, release me. They can have the money. I just survive on what I have. I got things to do, and this is taking up my time. He said he would. He called me about, this is an honest truth. He called me about a couple of hours after we had that meeting, and he said he would release me.
Wow.
And he said, I'm going to release you, John, but I'm going to give you all your money.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Look at
yes,
God.
he was a Christian. He said, he loved it. He said, I know what you're doing. I'm a Christian. I know you want to go home and serve the Lord. He said, I'm going to send you home with all your money.
Wow. Wow.
Incredible. Incredible.
Jeez.
So I didn't even have to pay my last years. They let me out of it.
Wow.
But they gave me the money I would have to play my last 3 years. And that's when I started to get into the Lord. And in a short thing, I came home, I was feeding 87,000 people a year from out of my kitchen.
Wow.
Yeah, that's where my ministry started. We was feeding the hungry.
Wow.
And First Lady would go, y'all see her on stage performing all this stuff, then she'll come home and cook.
Wow.
For 80, and we fed about 2,000 people every Saturday.
Wow. That is amazing, John. Look at
God.
God.
So that's where my kids grew up in church. My daughters sing, and I'll send you the website so you can catch us on Sunday at 12. And my wife, she sings at 12. She'll be on there singing, and she'll run service. My son is a musician, so that's all we did since we left Cleveland.
Wow.
Is run these churches and build these churches. So that's where I've been.
Man, outstanding.
But we changed so many people's lives, Jake. Right. So many young boys, so many boys that are on drugs, not on drugs, this, that, everything is happening. But I get that from my upbringing. I get that from McKinley. I get that from Langdon Park, Brentwood, Montana. I get that from all the things we went through, and that heart that we have now for one another. That's what I give to them.
Wow, outstanding, man. Well, I love you, brother. I
love you, brother.
I love you. I thank you for joining me and sharing your story, man. Let me tell you something. It's going to fill a lot of people up with this one.
Sure. Oh, good.
And I'll be sure to send you the link to this so you can share it as well.
Let's talk about doing something, even if it's from there. I can put it together. Maybe a Zoom call could be the same thing, Dre, on one of your shows with about 50 of my youth, or my men, and we'll get out there and I'll let you share some knowledge and give them some hope. Okay.
I appreciate it, brother. I love you, man. Thank you again.
Love you, man. Thank you for having me.
All right, brother.
Okay.